talking, muzzle of done something shocking. Now heaven knows anything goes.
Wait, hold on. Anything goes? Isn't that what's been happening right here in America for some time now? So, how does that make you feel? After all, our country is a land of laws framed by our Constitution, is it not? So, you might be asking, what can I do? Well, welcome to COS Indiana Live, where we'll be discussing how to use the Constitution to save the Constitution. Our vision is to build a strong, engaged army of self-governing activists. Our mission statement is to restore self-governance by recruiting, training, and deploying citizen activists to engage in all levels of government. So, if you've had enough of anything goes, join us every Monday at 7 p.m. as our state director and host, Dale Parrish, will show you how we can actually make a difference by using the Constitution to save the Constitution and our country. And without any further ado, here's Dale.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Maringo Mike, for that introduction. Believe me, folks, if you were one of those people that were wondering, what can I do? And after the last election, what is it that I can do? There must be something that I can do. Well, I think many of you decided that joining Convention of States was the thing to do. And I want to thank you for making that decision, because we have, in fact, been experiencing an onslaught of new supporters coming into Convention of States. So we want to thank everyone for making that decision and choosing Convention of States. Once again, welcome to Convention of States here in Indiana. My name's Dale Parrish. I am the state director for Convention of States here in Indiana. And once again, I want to welcome you all to our broadcast this evening. I want to mention to you also that the broadcast is coming to you tonight through mainly our state Facebook page, Convention of States Indiana. But we are also live streaming on our YouTube channel, COS Indiana. So you do have an alternative way of viewing the broadcast tonight, and that's on our YouTube channel, COS Indiana. Now, while you're there, I might mention to you, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be talking more about the YouTube channel a little later on the broadcast. We offer a number of different educational things, I might say, on that YouTube channel. So it's a good resource to have. But like I said, we'll be talking more about that here very, very shortly. Now, I want to go through with you the segments of our broadcast this evening so you'll have an idea of what to expect. Now, in the first segment, I call it the interview segment. Now, in this segment, we try to bring on leadership individuals from our organization here in Indiana, and especially new leadership individuals. And tonight, we are pleased to have another one of our new district captains, Patrick Romack. And we'll be bringing Patrick on very shortly here. Introduce him to you and let you get to know what his objectives are, where he's located, so forth and so on. So that will be in our very first segment, the interview segment. Now, the second segment is what I call the information segment. In this segment, I'll bring up my PowerPoint and we'll briefly look at some informational points about our organization here in Indiana. Some resources that we have available to us here in Indiana, give you a little better feel for what we're doing, what we're trying to accomplish. I might also mention here in Indiana. Also, we'll give you an idea of what to expect on our next broadcast coming up next Monday evening. So, got a really special one planned for you next Monday evening. So, that'll be in the information segment. Now, in the third segment, I call it the viewer comment segment. Now, these are we try to feature viewers that have submitted questions or comments, and I can see we're already beginning to get a few of them. So I'll do my best to try and recognize those. Please keep your viewer comments, questions brief, as I am limited on the number of characters that I can show at any one time. So that'll be in the third segment. Now, the fourth segment I call the contributors segment. And in this segment now, we have designated certain individuals in our organization here in Indiana as COS Indiana Live contributors. And now these are individuals that like to express an opinion or make a short dissertation on a particular topic. So I give them an opportunity to do that. These are pre-recorded, very brief. So tonight we have a segment or a brief recording from our legislative liaison, Paul Phillips, and his is called the Free to Be Free Moment. Now, the Free to Be Free is in fact a podcast that Paul does, and I'll mention that a little later on as I talk about the resources that are available to us on our YouTube channel. So anyway, that will be coming up in our contributor segment this evening. Then in the final segment, I call it the invitation segment. Now in this segment, we'll expound a little bit on what Convention of States is all about. And then I'm going to invite you to join us here in Convention of States here in Indiana, because you are the target audience. Those of you that are not supporters of Convention of States as of yet, you are the target audience that we're trying to reach, because we want you to join us here in Convention of States in Indiana and grow the grassroots. That's very, very important. So I'm going to invite you to join, and I'm going to tell you how to go about doing that. So that'll be in the final segment this evening. Well, let's get our guest up here and get into the very first segment this evening. And without further ado, let me bring Patrick up into the screen here. All right, there he is. Good evening, Patrick.
Good evening, Dale.
Good evening. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Patrick Romack. And Patrick, as I mentioned, Patrick is our new district captain for Indiana House District 34. Now, for those of you that are not part of Convention of States, we're organized around House districts in the state of Indiana. And as a matter of fact, all across the country is the way we're organized. But in Indiana, there are 100 House districts. And so we try to find a district captain for each of those districts. And Patrick is our new district captain for House District 34. Patrick, kind of give everyone an idea where House District 34 is located.
It's on the west side of Muncie. Muncie's kind of halfway between Indianapolis and Fort Wayne. Yorktown is kind of like the closest little town to us, and you've got Cowan, Selma, and a few surrounding communities. Sue Arrington is our representative, and Tim Laney, I'll probably pronounce that wrong, is our senator.
All right. So you're in the Muncie area, in that area. So that part of the state. I just like everybody to kind of have an idea of where you're located. Now, I mentioned that Patrick is a new district captain for us in House District 34, but Patrick has taken on a couple other jobs in addition to being a district captain. So, Patrick, you want to tell everybody what else you're doing in addition to being a district captain?
Yeah, I'm the one, like when somebody joins a convention of states, I go through the follow up tool or the FUT. And if they volunteer, I'll send them out the information to become a volunteer. Uh, the email includes um, like who their district captain is, who their representative is, senators, um, and just the base simplicities. Then if they opt out, of course, I'll send them a nice little opt out and thank you for taking the time with us.
Okay.
Um, there's
Okay.
we do probably about on a bad day maybe 30 on when things really go crazy. I've done as many as 100 a day just based on the actions of Washington.
Really?
Seems
Oh
like
yeah. Yeah.
that spurs us on.
That can spur a lot of reaction. Yeah. All right. Well, basically, Patrick's helping. Now we have a state grassroots coordinator, and so Patrick's really helping him out, and so giving him a hand. And basically, he's one, if not the first person that a new supporter would meet, a new volunteer would meet in our state. So very, very, very important job, very important duties to make a good impression on new people. Well, I told Patrick that to be prepared to do this. We always ask leadership individuals to tell us their COS story, not their life story, but their COS story, the how, when, where they got involved in Convention of States. And Patrick has a very interesting COS story. So, Patrick, tell us your COS story.
Okay, I come from a long line of veterans, and um, one of my ancestors is Charles Carroll, who signed our Declaration of Independence. He was from Baltimore, Maryland. During the War of 1812, another one that I'm descended of, John Skinner, he did a Paul Revere type ride when the British were coming into Baltimore. Now, later on, well, within a few days, he was with Francis Scott Key aboard the ship as a military liaison.
Wow.
Um, he was there during the writing of Our Star Spangled Banner,
Wow.
also in Baltimore, Maryland. But it's kind of neat to, try to carry on that tradition. And I mentioned I come from a long line of veterans, which, we take that oath to support and defend our Constitution against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. And we've got several domestic here now.
Seems that way, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, all right. So it was that history and that tradition that got you interested in Convention of States then. So
Yes.
yeah. All right, all right. Excellent. Don't know that we've ever had anyone come in to our organization with that kind of history. So that's very, very, very interesting. Well, tell us now, talk about the objectives that you kind of have set forth for yourself in your district, being a new district captain.
Um, what I've set forth and done was go into our district tool and went through all my volunteers in the area, sent them an email, and I'm getting a few responses. And based on my responses, I'd like to push forward and get us out there, put a face with the name and everything going on right now,
Right.
and go get us involved, like with the county fair, set up a table and um, whatever other events, maybe car shows, stuff like that we could do. Just kind of, people will see, oh, you're so and so, you're with Convention of States. How can I get involved? Put the
Exactly.
face with what we're doing.
We are. This is one of the things that we do a lot of. Uh, we were doing a lot of it until COVID hit. So we're looking for communities to start easing up and start getting back into holding county fairs and festivals and other events of this nature. Gun shows, another good venue for us. And like Patrick said, you know, we'll put an information table up at these events and be there to talk to people about convention estates and sign them up, get them to join. So very, very good. That's one of the main objectives I think that every district captain should get involved in. So best of luck to that to you on that one, Patrick. Now, Patrick, tell us about another main responsibility is being in contact with your legislators, your state legislators. Tell us what you know about your state legislators.
Well, I have not been able to get a call back from Tim. I've left several messages for him. Sue Harrington is kind of on the rope. She thinks it'll be a runaway type convention. And I've tried to reassure her that we are bound by law. What is proposed is what has to come through. There's no additions, no subtractions. It's the same piece of legislation or proclamation that went through our state legislators. That'll go through all 50 of them. There's no changing it. And okay. I don't know if she exactly believed me on it or not.
Well, like I said, this is one of the main responsibilities of a district captain, and that is to be in contact with his or her state legislators. And so it looks like Patrick's on the way to doing that. So sounds like we got a dog in the background.
Yeah, she's looking out the window and sees somebody walking a dog down the road.
Oh, yeah, I know that. Okay.
Cheyenne.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, let's wrap it up here. Patrick, we like to kind of close on a note of self-governance. So she's really getting worked up over. So tell us, Patrick, how you're involved in your local community.
I'm a member of the Independent Order of Odd Fellows. It's a charitable organization going back several centuries. Actually, today is the 202nd anniversary of the Independent Order of Odd Fellows getting chartered here in America. There was another order called the Ancient Order of Odd Fellows, which predates our Independent Order of Odd Fellows. I'm the past Grand Master of the state of Indiana and a past Grand Chief Patriarch for the Grand Encampment of Indiana, which is part of the Odd Fellows. And we have a military branch, which I'll be the department commander in October, which the Patriarch Militant also is the only group that can relieve the old guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. And for the last 80 plus years, except for the last two because of COVID, they went ahead and canceled this year. They've relieved the old guard on the first Sunday in May to lay wreaths from all the jurisdictions in North America.
Okay. All right.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt, which was an Odd Fellow, gave us this honor. So we can actually cross and take charge while all the wreaths are being laid.
All right. All right. Well, great. Well, listen, Patrick, I want to show you a couple comments here that some people have made. Now, this is George Ward, and George is our state grassroots coordinator, and this is the gentleman that Patrick helps out on the grassroots coordinator job. So George is saying, amen to that. Patrick's help is much appreciated. So thanks, George, for putting that in. George wanted to also make another comment about your heritage, saying that's some heritage to live up to. And Paul Phillips, our legislative liaison, commented that was a great COS story, Patrick. So good job there. And I think that's pretty much it for what I wanted to show you while you were on. So, Patrick, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I think Patrick's going to be one of our best district captains, and I think he's off to a great start. And so, best of luck to you, Patrick.
Well, thank you very much.
All right. Have a good evening, bud.
You too. Thank you.
All right, Patrick Romance. So very glad that Patrick was able to join us this evening. Good deal, good deal. Well, I want to now get into this next segment of the information segment. And in order to do that, I'm going to bring up my PowerPoint here real quick, and we'll implement the slideshow option here, hopefully, so that you can get a full view of each of the slides that I want to present. Our vision statement here in Indiana is in line with the national vision statement of Convention of States, and that is to build a strong, engaged army of self-governing activists. Now, in Indiana, we've developed a mission statement to bring us closer to realizing that national statement. And so the Indiana mission statement is to restore self-governance by recruiting, training, and deploying citizen activists to engage in all levels of government. So that's why I wanted to bring out with Patrick, I wanted to bring out the self-governance issue. So that's what we believe that's very, very important for our people to be involved in, self-governance. All right. Some of the objectives that we're trying to accomplish here in 2021, we have just surpassed 57,000 supporters here in Indiana. We want to grow that to 70,000 here in 2021. We want to get some younger volunteers on board. We have some, but we want to get a few more and get into that generation under 30. So also region captains that we have in the state of Indiana, we have 9 regions established. We have 5 region captains at the current time, and we want to increase that to 7 by the end of 2021. We want to get up to 40 district captains, and Patrick is a perfect example of some of the new district captains that we're bringing on board. So we're making good headway toward reaching this goal. Develop and implement a call to action program. We're pretty much wrapping that up. I'll be mentioning that in just a few minutes. But next Monday evening, going to have Paul Phillips, our legislative liaison, on to kind of give us a summation as to how our call to action program went this year in 2021. Develop and deliver an education program. I'll have more on that here very shortly, and you're going to see more and more of that. We're going to make that a part of the broadcast every week, COS Indiana Live. We're going to make that a part, the education program, a part of this broadcast. So that's kind of that's where we stand on the objectives that we're trying to accomplish here this year. Resources that we have available to us. Our main resource here in Indiana and nationally is our national website, conventionofstates.com. You'll hear us make reference to this website frequently, has a wealth of information on it. So that's conventionofstates.com. Now, embedded in the national website is our Indiana state webpage, conventionofstates.com/Indiana. Now, the main social media platform still is Facebook, and our state Facebook page, Convention of States Indiana, as I mentioned earlier, our broadcast is coming to you through that state Facebook page. Now, as I also mentioned earlier, we are now live streaming on our YouTube channel, COS Indiana. Now, the YouTube channel, in addition to being an avenue to live stream the broadcast, is an educational resource. We have narrated PowerPoints on there. We have recordings of our broadcasts. We have links to a podcast that our legislative liaison, Paul Phillips, does called the Free to Be Free podcast. So whenever Paul does a podcast, we put a link on there to give you easy access to his podcast. So that YouTube channel has a number of different educational resources available to you. So I encourage you to check out our YouTube channel, COS Indiana. I'm on Parler at DO Parish. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We also generate a state newsletter every month. And our team doing this newsletter is just doing a fantastic job. I would encourage you, when you become a supporter of Convention of States here in Indiana, that you opt to receive our emails so that you can get our state newsletter. Very, very professional job being done. Some upcoming items. We had 3 bills that in our state legislature this year for 2021. 2 of them got passed. 2 of them that we supported passed. The Disaster Emergencies Bill, House Bill 1123. They had to override the governor's veto, but that did get passed. Civics Education, House Bill 1384, passed overwhelmingly. The one bill that got pulled, never did come to a vote, was House Bill 1369, the firearms bill. So that bill did not got pulled. So 2 out of 3. So that's a good record. Some upcoming events. Bass and Bucks. Now, this is a sporting goods store in Wabash, Indiana. We should be making a presentation there sometime in May. We'll be giving you more information on that. Our COS virtual roundtable meeting scheduled for July 25th. And we'll be giving you more information on that activity as well. Now, I wanted to mention again on our next broadcast, which will be May 3rd, we're going to have Paul Phillips on, our legislative liaison. Paul's going to give us a final legislative update on our efforts in the legislative area for Convention of States here in Indiana. So be sure to put us on your calendar to tune in next Monday evening, and every Monday evening, I might say, at 7 p.m. So next Monday evening, May 3rd. All right, let me send that back to the lobby. And now let's see if I got any more comments here that we want to show everybody. Here's one that a gentleman by the name of Chris Reed says he works with Patrick and a great representative. So Patrick, I don't know if you're still on or not, but there's a coworker that is giving you a thumbs up. So I thought that was very nice. All right. And let's see, our one of our SIAs, Jerry Rowe, said, "Hi, everyone. Good hearing, Patrick. Good deal. Thanks, Jerry." All right. And we've got some other ones here. They're way too long for me to put on. Sorry, I can't put those on. Here's one from a constant content contact. Hi, all. Okay, so thank you for joining us tonight. All right. Very good. And let me move on then to our next segment, which is the contributor segment. So I'm going to bring on Paul Phillips, who is going to be doing, and now Paul does the podcast, the Free to Be Free, and his contributor segment is called the Free to Be Free Moment. So let me bring him on. I'm going to mute myself in order to do this. So I'm going to
What an interesting time we live in. Our rights have been infringed on the pretext of protecting us from a virus. We have now experienced Ben Franklin's famous quote, "Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." We have been denied such rights as the freedom of association and freedom of travel, but most importantly, we have been denied the right to pursue happiness. Never has this abstract right been more tangible than when the right to participate in commerce, whether as a laborer, a service provider, consumer, or business owner, was denied to those whose value was arbitrarily deemed non-essential. You see, our ability to earn a living in order to provide for our families is an essential expression of the inalienable right of the pursuit of happiness. I will have to admit that prior to the current lockdown orders, I often thought of the pursuit of happiness as more of an abstract literary device than a concrete right like life or liberty. Our current situation has shown me the essence of the meaning of the pursuit of happiness, and I will never think of it as abstract again. The thing that seems so obvious to me is that our government officials are completely oblivious to the true value of work. Leo Tolstoy once said, "Work, not leisure, is the indispensable condition of happiness for every human being." It appears that this essential truth is lost on our government officials. This lack of understanding of the value of our work is further underscored by the attitude that we can replace the value of our work with some stimulus payments, unemployment checks, and PPP loans. Oh yeah, and throw in some big business subsidies too. Still, none of this comes close to replacing the value of fulfilling our life purpose through our work. It is through work that we experience our sense of purpose by serving one another and in the process provide for our families. This essential pursuit of happiness is what has been taken from us by the response to COVID-19. As a self-governing people, we are perfectly capable of evaluating the information provided by well-intended COVID-19 experts and adjusting our activities to best manage the risks to ourselves and our families. We can certainly do this better than the one-size-fits-all, mask-wearing, social distancing, stay-at-home, self-isolation, overreaching lockdowns from our governors. This is not to say that there is not a valid risk from COVID-19, so it's important to address the pretext for the infringement. That, of course, would be COVID-19. There is significant debate regarding the severity of the threat of the virus, the accuracy of reporting of the statistics, and the effectiveness of social distancing, wearing masks, and the closure of businesses. Some of the questions being asked are, is the infection rate high enough to justify the lockdowns? Are we flattening the curve enough to allow the economy to open back up? Should you wear a mask for your protection or the protection of others? All relevant topics for discussion, but when it comes to the justification for infringing upon our individual rights, these issues are irrelevant. There is nothing that could rise to the level of justifying the infringement of rights that was taken in response to COVID-19. In general, the government and medical experts can share their recommendations, but they should only be recommendations. As a self-governing individuals, we can each choose our response to the threat of COVID-19 as we see fit based on our specific situation. The real essence of this issue is not whether or not we can work to earn a living for our families or if our occupation is non-essential. It is not whether or not we must wear a mask or social distance. It is not whether or not schools or churches should be open. It is not whether or not we should get vaccinated. The real issue is who decides. Who gets to decide for you how best to live your life in a world full of risks? Can a bureaucrat who has never met you and knows nothing about you really decide what is in your best interest? I think not. The best person to decide for you is you.
All right, Paul, thank you very much. The free to be free moment. So how true. Paul is, he always has very, very good segments, not only as a contributor, but as in his podcast as well. So thank you very much, Paul, for that. I want to now move to the final segment, and I'm going to bring up another video. And I'm going to tell you right now, some of it's kind of dated. Some of the individuals that you're going to see pictured in the video, like former President Obama, are somewhat dated. But the message is not dated at all. The message is as relevant today as it was when this video was made. So I obviously want you to pay very, very close attention to the message that's being told here. And I hope you enjoy this. I'll be right back with you.
The United States Constitution was written to form a more perfect union that would enable checks and balances to prevent a bloody revolution from being a necessary measure to abolish tyranny. Excellent though it was, Colonel George Mason feared the national government might one day end in a tyrannical aristocracy. The rights of the people needed to be secured against potential corruption at the national level. One of the solutions the framers decided upon can be found in Article 5, which gives state legislators the authority to call a convention that bypasses federal legislators to amend the Constitution. That gives we the people the opportunity to make some long overdue structural adjustments. Maybe term limits would be a good place to start. Here's how the process works. Citizens request their state legislators to pass a bill called an application, with operative language identical in each state. These legislators of the states then pass the application. Generally, only a simple majority is needed. Congress shall, by law, call a convention of the states as soon as it receives applications from 2/3 of the state legislatures. That's 34 states. Delegates chosen by the state legislatures attend the convention. Each state only gets one vote at the convention, but they can send as many delegates to represent the state as they so choose. Amendments are proposed, debated, and voted upon at the convention. Finally, ratification takes place in the states. Each amendment must be ratified by 3/4 of the states in order to become part of the U.S. Constitution. But what about a runaway convention? Let's get a reality check. Like constitutional law scholar Robert G. Nadelson says, there are far more political and legal constraints on a runaway convention than on a runaway Congress. The convention delegates, also called commissioners, are bound to the will of their state legislatures. If they don't vote as their states demand, they get recalled. You might even get sent to prison. Furthermore, a full 3/4 of the state legislatures, we're talking 38 state legislatures, must ratify each and every amendment in order for it to become part of the U.S. Constitution. Even Alexander Hamilton and Abraham Lincoln, who favored national government, emphasized that Article 5 gives states authority over the national government. Hamilton writes that national rulers have no option upon the subject. The words of Article 5 are peremptory. The Congress shall call a convention. And Lincoln says the convention mode seems preferable in that it allows amendments to originate with the people themselves. Article 5 Convention of the States is a safe route to stopping federal overreach. Civilizations rise and fall. Let's be a civilization that saw the cycle of collapse coming and broke it.
Well, folks, I think that should give you a good summation as to what Convention of States is all about. This is what we're trying to get done. And we're calling for an Article 5 Convention of States. Now, the term Convention of States comes from history. A Convention of States is much like a task force that we would call that today a task force. This is how problems were solved in our country in the past, calling a Convention of States to address problems that dealt with multiple states, multiple colonies. So they would call a Convention of States and deal with those problems. So what we're calling for is an Article 5 Convention of States for the purpose of proposing amendments to the Constitution that, of course, then would have to be ratified by 3/4 of the state legislatures or 38 states. So that's what we're trying to accomplish, and that's what we would like for you to join us in trying to make happen. Now, I want to tell you, as was said in the video, 34 states have to apply to hold this convention. We have currently 15 states that have made this application. We're looking at adding some more states this year yet. So we're on our way, and we're looking to get to that 34 state threshold very, very soon. So help us now. And I do want to mention also that Indiana is one of the states that has already approved and passed the resolution calling for this convention. So Indiana is one of the 15 states that have already made application. So we're looking to then add the additional states to get to the 34 level. Now, how can you join? Let me tell you about this. First of all, here's this national website again. Go to our national website, conventionofstates.com, open an account, sign the petition, and that action right there makes you a supporter of Convention of States here in Indiana. And that's a very, very important step to take that first step and become a supporter. Now, if you would like to get further involved in Convention of States, like Patrick has done to become a district captain, then click on the menu selection at the top of the website called Take Action. Scroll down to where it says Become a Leader, and look at the different volunteer positions that we have available here in Indiana. And if one's of interest to you, go ahead and open it up, read about it. Go ahead and make application if you're very interested. Now, you're not obligated in any way. You don't have to worry about that. But when you make application, then Patrick and some others of us will see your name pop up on a report, and one of us then will be in contact with you to talk further about your interest. Keep in mind now that the positions that we have available vary in the amount and the degree of commitment involved. So some require very little commitment. Some obviously will require more commitment. You're the only one that can make that judgment. So I encourage you, I really do encourage you to go to the website and take a look at these positions. But most of all, first take that step and become a supporter. As I said, we've got over 57,000 supporters here in Indiana right now, and we want to get to 70,000 by the end of this year. So we would love to have you get involved. And folks, I think we like to say this is the solution as big as the problem. And I think the way things are going right now in this country, in our country, we need to take some action. We need to step forward now using the Constitution to save the Constitution. I think that's a very, very appropriate statement to be made. So with that, I want to wrap up our broadcast this evening. I want to thank you again for tuning in. And I just want to leave you with one thought, and that is, if you join us here in Convention of States, folks, you're going to be part of making history. As I said, there has never been an Article 5 Convention of States for the purpose of proposing amendments to the Constitution. So when we make this happen, and when you become part of it, you're going to be part of making history. So come and join us, won't you? Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good evening, and look for us next Monday evening, same time, 7 p.m. Thank you. Good night, everyone.